Hello, Gumtown. Today we're here with Tony Watkins, and he's an author of the book entitled Shackled Again. How you doing, Tony?
I'm good. And yourself?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for being here with us today. Now, Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your book, Shackled Again.
Well, Shackled Again, it came out in 2013. And what inspired Shackled Again was the fact I found some slave shackles on my great-grandmother's property. Slave shackles was found on my great-grandmother's property in Lowndes County.
Okay.
After doing the research on the property, this is where your slaves was coming out of South Carolina into Lowndes County area.
Mm-hmm.
My great-grandmother decided to not tell her story. Her grandmother's been a slave, and she finally broke the ice.
Mm-hmm.
But what was so strange about it is that when she looked at those shackles, she said, boy, where'd you get them things from?
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, Mama, they were buried up under the house down in the hill. And see, my great-grandmother had 40 acres, and in the South we call them mud deer.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, go back and bury them. So at that time, I knew Mama had a story to tell, and she wasn't ready to tell that story because that generation took things to the grave.
Mm-hmm.
When she finally broke down and told me her story, and with me looking at those slave shackles, and I decided to go ahead and start interviewing some more of the unsung heroes.
Wow.
I went to Selma, interviewed 2 people from Selma. Went to Florida, Rosewood, the last survivor of Rosewood. I gathered her story of how it's compared to the movie Rosewood.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, with her being only a child, 7 years old at that time, she talks about how they was actually living in the woods for weeks to months at a time.
Mm.
Of course, the movie break it down and just say they went to the woods and they were trying to catch a train. Well, there's a lot of things happening in between that time. Catch the train. I had an opportunity to talk about in my book about the lynching of the black women.
Oh, wow.
I knew about the stories of the black men, but to hear and see the stories about the black women to be lynched with their unborn cut out of them, or with their child hanging from off the bridge. These are untold stories, and they need to be told.
Yes.
Some of the stories in here are so graphic that it kind of made me have thick skin, knowing that one day these stories are going to have to be told, and they're preserved well.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, when the first book Shackled Again came out in 2013, it hit the front cover in 2015, February 1st. And when the front cover came out in Montgomery advertised it, then Selma wrote a story on Shackled Again. This was for the 65 Voting Right Act of the march from Selma to Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
Then after March, April came, and when April came around, Columbus, Georgia, which is Columbus Ledger, Columbus Times, and Columbus Inquirer wrote a story on me, made front cover.
Wow.
Shackled Again. So, knowing that this first book is out there, I got a chance to take the book, and I said, I want to see if I can interview some more people. So I took the book and sent it to General Colin Powell.
Mm-hmm.
The general loved the book so much, he said, yes, you can come and interview me. So I interviewed General Colin Powell, Dick Gregory, because a lot of people don't know that Dick Gregory actually had funded a lot of the movement financially.
Oh, wow.
Ambassador Andrew Young, he was the closest aide friend to Dr. King. These are the stories that I like to talk about, even with the lady who had a noose this is Mississippi Summer, Freedom 64, up under Stokely Carmichael, Fannie Lou Hamer. She was actually, because she was white and she had red hair, they would always taunt her and said, "Red, today your day." And just at this time, she was walking down the dirt road, and she said she saw an elderly black man who was waving at her, but he was not waving at her. He was actually telling her to get off the road because a truck is coming full of thugs. Well, actually, when she looked up, he had disappeared, and the young white gentleman's thugs got out of the truck and said, Red, today is your day. So they put a rope around her neck and tied the rope to the bumper of a truck. And slowly but surely that truck started moving. So what she did, she put her hand between the rope and the neck so she can get some kind of room. Well, it went from that to dragging her.
Wow.
She was able to live through that and tell her story. And I actually have the first interview after 50 years of her holding it in. A lot of these people have been scarred, not only white, blacks, and many others, because the freedom was not just for blacks, it was for all.
Right.
And as I look back now, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, even when I found the slave shackles, it was a challenge for me to work 2 jobs, go to school, and still try to do interviews. All because I had the determination, the desire to keep people living. This is our history. This is not. This is part of a history that we don't know a lot about. Because I remember that when I was looking for freedom riders and civil rights movement, I found a lot of the slavery as civil war, but I didn't find a lot of civil rights. And I guess at that time they was throwing a lot of these civil rights movement papers away. So we don't have a lot of civil rights movement paper. We knew all about the Dr. Kings and Rosa Parks, but my aim was not them. My aim was the person that had to keep quiet, and so they can keep their family living. And as I tell you one time, and I tell you again, that my great grandmother, who actually raised me, Medea, she had a tough challenge, because not only did she raise her 11, she raised her grand. Not only she raised her grand, she raised her great grand, but then she had to go to the house to the person that she was cleaning up and still raise their kids, because they came home with her. They ate from the same plate that her children ate. But then she was in a time in the 60s where she had to look at her child as being black and not supposed to make it, and then as opposed to as the young whites that are going to make it. So for her to be a single mother with 11 and grand, she had to do what she had to do.
That's right.
So my story, my books are to expound more on the unsung heroes. And this has been a rewarding journey for me. And as Dick Gregory told me one day, he said, "Don't let your richness come through writing the books, but let your richness come through history." Right. And this is one of the things that I see what he mean now, because when you sit there and you look at them dog bites still imprinting their legs, when you can almost look and they had to escape the cross, all in Mississippi summer of 64 and all in just 64 and 65, and you have to ask yourself that same question: are we still shackled today? And I say yes, we are, but it's a different form of shackles. Now they have what you call credit card debts. That's that student loans. No, we're not going back into the chain gang and the convict leasing part of it, but we are shackled economically and financially.